Lights, camera, dissect. Welcome back to Midnight Reel
How
Reviews.
good can an old movie really be? I think this 1957 mystery thriller can provide you with the answer. It has no flashy scenes or dazzling special effects, but it captivates the audience with its meticulous script and outstanding performances. It's earned a high score of 9.4 from 500,000 domestic viewers. Today, let's revisit this classic that leaves a lasting impression. An 18-year-old boy raised in a slum is accused of killing his father and stands trial. Witness testimony and physical evidence all point to the boy. However, according to the boy, he didn't kill his father, though all the unfavorable evidence points to him. The judge decides to seek the jury's opinion for the verdict. A jury of 12 people from different professions must decide whether the boy is... If all agree on his guilt, the boy will face the death penalty. Most people consider this a straightforward case. The prosecution has provided eyewitness testimony and physical evidence showing that the boy is the killer, while the boy's defense consists solely of his own claims. The jury foreman proposes a vote to determine if the boy is guilty. He expects a unanimous verdict, but no one anticipated that juror 8, Old White, would hesitate to raise his hand. This surprises everyone, and the result is clear. 11 votes for guilty, just 1 for not guilty. According to court rules, the jury must reach a unanimous decision for it to impact the verdict. The others are puzzled by Old White's doubts. When 11 votes agree on guilt, it's hard to raise my hand, he says, implying that sending a boy to his death should not be a hasty decision. Old White sees this as a matter of life and death and doesn't want to rush to a conclusion. What if they're wrong? But others think Old White's concerns are unnecessary. To convince him, they revisit the details of the case. At midnight on the night of the murder, a neighbor downstairs heard a loud argument. He heard the boy shout, "I'm going to kill you," followed by a crash. The neighbor ran outside and saw the boy rushing down the stairs and leaving. He then called the police, and the officers found the boy's father stabbed. It was clear the boy was the one who did it. Yet the boy claimed he was at the movies that night. Though he couldn't remember the film or the actors' names, no one could prove he went to the cinema. Meanwhile, a female witness across the street claimed to have seen him kill his father. She couldn't sleep due to the heat that night. When she looked out her window, she saw the boy stab his father in the chest. It was 12 a.m. Swite, which matched the filmony. In response to Old White's doubts, one juror explained that there were no passengers on the trolley at the time and no lights. The prosecution's lawyer showed that the night watchman could see across from the car. I have a question for you. If you don't believe the boy's story, why believe the woman's? Old White's sharp words made this juror defensive. Another juror gave his view, stating he was looking for a motive for the boy's crime. According to the female witness, the boy had fought with his father earlier that evening. The boy had been slapped twice and then stormed out. This could be a crucial motive for the crime, but Old White thought it wasn't strong enough. The boy's father regularly beat him, making it a common occurrence. He wouldn't kill his father over just 2 slaps. Another juror pointed out that the boy had a troubled past. He had been in trouble since he was 11 for throwing things at his teacher, then arrested for stealing a car at 15, and later caught for robbery. All these actions painted him as a bad kid. Old White argued that his upbringing caused this, as his father had physically abused him since childhood. This view was challenged by juror #3, who showed a photo of his own child. This was why he firmly believed the boy was guilty. Old White admitted he wasn't sure if the boy was innocent, but he still raised doubts. He pointed out that the defense lawyer hadn't questioned any of the prosecution's witnesses. Old White posed a bold question: what if both the witnesses were wrong? Juror #3 again argued that even if their testimonies were wrong, there was still the matter of the folding knife found in the victim's chest. Moreover, the boy had confessed to buying a folding knife that night. Another juror, Glasses Guy, offered a strong logical explanation. On the night of the murder, the boy argued with his father, then stormed out. He went to a secondhand store and bought a folding knife, which the shopkeeper claimed was unique with special engravings on its handle. The boy said he went to a bar at 8:15, met friends, and left at 9:45. His friends saw the knife, but when the details didn't align, the boy's story began to unravel, with conflicting testimonies between the defense and prosecution. The boy claimed he left at 11:30 to go see a movie and returned home at 3:30 a.m. only to find his father dead. He was arrested on the spot. He explained that the knife fell from his pocket due to a hole, and after 11:30 he never saw it again. No one could verify his whereabouts after 11:30, nor could they confirm he went to the cinema. His inability to recall the movie's name led others to suspect he was lying. The foreman asked for the knife as evidence. Glasses guy suggested the boy wiped off the fingerprints to cover his tracks. Old White proposed someone else might have used a similar knife. Glasses guy pointed out that this knife was rare. Old White skeptically responded, calling it too convenient. Then Old White pulled out an identical knife from his pocket, leaving everyone stunned. Old White's knife, purchased near the boy's street, showed that the folding knife wasn't unique. Despite proving the knife was ordinary, Old White's claim about the rare coincidence was hard to ignore. The debate reached a standstill. Some jurors were frustrated and eager to end the discussion. With no more evidence to present, Old White proposed an anonymous vote, which he would not participate in. If everyone still believed the boy was guilty, he would support the verdict. The vote quickly took place, and the results showed most jurors still believed the boy was guilty. However, just before the vote ended, a not guilty vote was cast, causing confusion. One elderly juror stood up in support of Old White, agreeing that his suspicions were justified. Despite some complaints, the discussion continued. Old White found contradictions in the testimonies of two witnesses, which cast doubt on their statements. The witnesses claimed the crime occurred at 12:10 a.m. The old man downstairs heard the boy threaten to kill his father and the sound of a fall. Across the street, a woman claimed to have seen the boy kill his father while a train passed by. Old White, based on his experience living on the street, pointed out that the train's loud noise would have drowned out other sounds, implying the old man lied. Juror Hash 3 countered, questioning why the old man would lie.
This didn't benefit him, and the elderly juror explained why. He had observed the old man in court. The old man wore a tattered coat and walked slowly. As an elderly person himself, he understood the man better than anyone. He did this to draw attention because there's nothing sadder than being invisible in old age. He may not have been lying, but perhaps he imagined hearing these words and believed the boy was the killer. This bizarre claim left everyone confused.
This sparked resonance among others. One juror pointed out their own doubts. The evidence did suggest the boy was guilty, but a deeper look revealed they had missed details. If the boy had really killed his father, why would he return home at 3 a.m. to be arrested? Some suggested it was because he remembered leaving the knife behind. He returned to retrieve the weapon, but the police arrived at his house too quickly. If the boy knew the knife couldn't be left behind, why didn't he take it when he left? The glasses-wearing man believed the boy was just too panicked when escaping and only remembered the knife later. But this explanation didn't seem to hold. If he was that panicked, how could he have been calm enough to wipe his fingerprints off the knife? Meanwhile, the woman who was in charge of the scene screamed when she saw the murder and immediately called the police. If the boy had been there, he surely would have heard her scream. It didn't make sense that he would murder his father and then return home. This argument caused many to start wavering. The foreman called for another vote, and the situation began to shift. To their surprise, 4 votes now supported innocence, and the discussion became heated. He began questioning the glasses-wearing man about what he had done in the past few days. Although he had answered everything earlier, when Old White asked about 3 days ago, he claimed he also went to the movies. However, he couldn't remember the title or the actors because it was an obscure film that people wouldn't remember. Sweat began to form on his forehead as his earlier confidence quickly faded. The issue with the folding knife was also raised. The police had found the knife in the victim, and it had been stabbed from above. It's difficult to stab someone taller than you from this angle. However, Juror 3 disagreed. He took the folding knife to test it. The tallest juror, Old White, became the test subject. As he struggled to mimic the movement with the knife, he couldn't justify it. Someone with experience using this type of knife pointed out that it was impossible to stab downward. The correct way to use a folding knife was to unfold it and stab upward when close to the target, as it was the quickest attack. This new interpretation of the evidence made many reconsider the murder wasn't as simple as it seemed. They voted again, and the situation started to change. Only 3 jurors still believed the boy was guilty, but there was still one crucial eyewitness who identified the boy as the murderer. This was the woman across the street who claimed she had seen the entire incident unfold. Her testimony seemed unshakable. However, when the glasses-wearing man rubbed his nose, it triggered a change. The elderly juror noticed the same gesture from the female witness when she appeared in court. She repeatedly made the same motion. Others confirmed this observation. She had a visible mark from her glasses on the side of her nose, indicating she wore glasses regularly. The woman had also dressed up that day, applying heavy makeup and wearing new clothes. Perhaps, being vain, she didn't want to appear unattractive with glasses, so she left them off. The glasses-wearing man finally realized that everyone had overlooked this detail. If her vision was poor, how could she clearly see what happened across the street in the dim light, especially through a streetcar window? According to him, no one would wear glasses while sleeping. Based on the time of the murder, she wouldn't have had time to put on her glasses. Perhaps all she saw were blurry shadows. Old White began questioning everyone, and no one could refute him. Only Juror 3 persisted in believing the boy was guilty. He shouted, refusing to accept that the evidence and accusations had been disproven. It wasn't until he pulled out a photo of his child that everyone realized his personal bias had clouded his judgment. His strained relationship with his child made him believe the boy's guilt. When he tore up the photo, he understood his mistake, and the jury finally reached a unanimous decision.
Your VIP seat awaits. Subscribe now, and let's relive every movie moment together.